Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Train Tuesday. I am your host, Jim Wiggin, and quick shout out to Janik and Jonathan on Friday for stepping in. Had something come up that I had to have the guys from development give it a whirl. So hopefully you guys enjoyed Friday. I know it was a little bit longer than what we normally do, but a lot of information in there, and definitely want to talk to your dealer about all the cool stuff that's coming out. So with that, let's see who we have on board today. I've got Marvin, Idaho Railfan, Gary and Jay Cure, and Robert, D'Angelo. Looks like we've got some new names out here. Ken, let's see, Matthew, Kevin. Let's see, Will Murphy says hello to Athern from Peterborough, Ontario. Richard, Nick, and wow. This is great. So we got Jeff and Chris and another Jeff. So great to have you guys on board. Yeah, we're talking Genesis today. There's a lot of Genesis stuff in this month. And we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. We've got some modern day stuff. We've got some steam era stuff. And we've got some stuff that's good from, probably from the 60s on up to the 90s. So there's something here for everyone today. Let's do a quick one more shout out. It looks like I've got Jacob from Florida, Bradley. Let's see, another Gary, Wayne, Patrick, and Greg. All right. Well, like I was telling you, and if you were here Friday for the live preview of everything that's in July, there is so much going on, and I know a lot of you guys were extremely excited about the Surfliners, as well you should be. These have never been offered before, and it was probably one of our most requested items for a new product. So without further ado, let me go ahead and show you what we've got. Now, before I put the PDF up, I wanted to show you some stuff. Janik is in the middle of the action out there. He's fortunate enough to be able to see these Surfliners. And let's see if I can get that picture up for him. Oops, no, that's not what I want. Let me try that again. And folks, while I am doing this, I just wanted to let you know, while we're broadcasting from the middle of East Central Illinois, we are experiencing thunderstorms right now. So you know what that means. There's a possibility you might lose me. If you do lose me, just go to the Athern website, go to the new announcements, and you'll see everything that we've talked about. And let's cross our fingers and hopefully we don't have any disturbances today. All right, let's try that one more time. Now, as I was saying, Janik has had an opportunity to go and actually take a lot of pictures, and he's also shared with me the 3D files to give you guys an idea of what the guys in development have been working on. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger so you can see it. And these are all photos from Janik. He took these in the last few years. And I don't know the locations on these because Janik had a bunch of pictures of these guys. But this is pretty remarkable. And there are times I'm kind of jealous of our guys out in California. I mean, look at that. Sunny, warm California. And you got those Surfliner cars just gleaming in the afternoon sun. Boy, I bet rail fanning's a little easier, if not hotter, out there. Now, you guys have probably seen this one. This is the one that we've used for a lot of our press releases and such. This was also taken by Janik. This is the cab control car, 6905. Or actually, it's the coach baggage, I should say. And here's one. I believe this is coming into the station. Got the platform there, and you can see the ditch lights. And so, yeah, here's some of the 3D drawings. This is one that we used in the press release. This is a big deal. I mean, a lot of you guys have been asking for these. These are the 3D images that they've been working on. And of course, taking every measurement they can to make these as the most accurate. Again, these haven't been offered before. Here's a close-up of the door. Now, most of you guys that are into Amtrak, you'll know these are based on the Amtrak Surfliner cars that had been around for a little bit. And Caltran had asked Amtrak, hey, you know what? We'd like something similar for our area. And they got together and they combined. The Surfliner is basically a version of the California cars. They're not quite California cars. They're a version of the California cars. And so there's some of the detail that you're going to see on your cars. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and go back to, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the PDF so you guys can see that. And we'll talk a little bit about these. We're going to talk about MT4s too, and we're also going to talk about some box cars. You always need box cars. So let's go over here to our Surfliner page. And this is really exciting. Now, as I was saying, the Surfliner, it's basically a family of the bi-level intercity rail cars that were derived originally from the California car. It was derived from the Surfliner in design, and it operates on Amtrak's California intercity routes in California. They're owned both by Amtrak and the California Department of Transportation, or Caltran. And basically, this all started in February of 1998. Amtrak ordered 40 Surfliners that were delivered between 2000 and 2001. And they've been really impressed with these. These have been great cars. They work extremely well for the area. And, they ended up doing 2 separate orders for these. The final Surfliner cars to be built and delivered was completed in 2002. So here we have the cab baggage coach car. This one here is 6905. Should look somewhat familiar because there's that picture again by Janik. The Point San Luis. And we're offering these DCC without sound. They're going to come with the NCE decoders, and they're also coming with sound, and they're coming with the Tsunami sound decoders. Now, these will operate on analog track. They will operate on DC. However, the lighting features really need to be used through a DCC system. But if you do have a club layout or a modular layout that you want to run these on and it's only running on analog or DC, you can still run these. It's not a problem. Here's the Coach Cafe car. Diablo Canyon. Again, these are all fully licensed. We worked with Amtrak on these, and we're offering them as singles. Now, again, we talk about this every time. These are the MSRP prices. Your prices, depending on where you buy them, may vary slightly, but the single packs without sound are $149.99. With sound, $199.99, and then we're offering them in a 5-pack, so you can make a complete train. $6.99 without sound and $7.99 with sound. Now, everything that we're showing here today, these are based on the mid-2000s. So, after the 2002 order. Here's the business class car and the coach car. And remember, these are available with sound as well. I mean, the sound-equipped models, they're going to feature some really cool stuff. They're going to have exclusive sounds recorded from the actual Surfliner cars. I know Janik spent a lot of time working on this. This has been a passion project for him, and I know a lot of you guys out there have been waiting for these. But you're going to hear stuff like the AC compressor operation, the doors opening and closing with the associated beep, generic station announcements with associated beep for PA system use. Yes, there is a vacuum toilet operation sound. So yeah, Not working sanders, but working vacuum toilet operation sound. What's really cool is is the clickety clack, which is a cool sound feature, especially on your bigger club layouts. The brake system sounds include the brake set and application, plus the emergency brake air dump sound. Cab cars will also feature the K5LA horn and bell, which is a stellar sound. I mean, there's a lot of fans out there of the K5LAs. Interior LED lights on upper and lower levels of the cars. And the cab cars are going to feature working head and ditch lights. So these are really cool. They are probably the most detailed passenger cars Athearn has ever done. We're really excited to be offering these. Now, like I said earlier, here's the passenger set. And it's going to include the 6953 cab baggage coach, 6851, the Pacific Business Class. You're going to get the coach and cafe, which is 6352, 6411 the coach, and 6412 coach. And you can see the names there. And I'm not going to attempt to butcher those names. I don't want to offend anybody out in the West Coast. But these are brand new. These have never been offered before. And you can see here's some of the, I'm going to zoom in on these so you guys can see. These are just absolutely amazing models. And I mean, I can't wait to see these in person. Check out the interior. So development has put out all of the stops. There is nothing that we have done as far as passenger coaches in the past that are going to be as detailed as this. And like I said, this is brand new Genesis tooling. Never been offered before. To my knowledge, and somebody out there may be able to correct me, but to my knowledge, these have never been done before. I don't even think they've been done in brass. I think maybe the California cars were done in brass a long time ago, but I don't think the Surfliner cars themselves. Let me know in the comments. I try to know as much as I can, but I don't know it all. So definitely. And the funny thing is since we've started bugging those guys over development, you're probably thinking, man, these are great. I'm going to need a locomotive to go with these. Don't worry. Don't worry. So yeah, there you go. I mean, these are just absolutely stunning. And as we get closer to these coming out, the guys in development, they're going to go ahead and they're going to show us stuff. We're really excited about these. Again, I've said it before, myself and Janik and John and Jack and all the other guys that you haven't met here, we're modelers too. We get excited about this just as much as you guys do. So yes. So hopefully you guys that have been waiting for these for seems like forever. Yes. We've got you. Anthony says around 1998, 2000 that they were offered in brass. So, but these, you know what modern day injection molded process does. In some cases, our Athearn Genesis stuff is actually better than brass. We even say that in our ads. So there you go. You've got about a year to wait for these to come online and be available for purchase. And some people may say, hey, it's a California car. I live in New Jersey, or I live in North Carolina, or I live in Texas. It's funny because we're seeing folks from all over the country, even Canada, ordering these because they're kind of an iconic thing. I mean, California is a state of mind, if you will. There's a lot of neat stuff that comes from California, and these cars are no different. And so a lot of people have really been excited about these. And like I said, probably one of the most requested things that we've had in a long time. So there you have it. So what's next? Well, we're going to go backwards a little bit, and we're going to do some steam now. Let me go ahead and show you what we're doing in steam. And I know you guys that modeled the 1920s right up until the 1950s are going to love these. We're going to go all the way up to the top here and start from the beginning. And once again, I'll go ahead and blow this up so you guys can see it. Southern Pacific MT4s, 482s. So a little background on these guys. The 482 locomotives were originally built by Alco. And, you know, they were built specifically for the Chesapeake and Ohio. And this is about 1911 or so. And they were called mountains because they were used in mountain service. If you've seen where the C&O used to operate, well, you know there's a lot of mountain terrain. So these were quickly named the mountain type locomotives. Southern Pacific, they said in 1923, they're like, hey, you know what? We'll take some of those 482s. And they got those from Alco. The ones from Alco's were MT1s. And the cool thing about this is, you know, during this time, we're talking the 1920s, manufacturing was evolving. And steel manufacturers were learning how to create more complex, larger castings out of steel. And SP took note of that, and they performed some cost studies. They evaluated the possibilities of making their own 482s in their shops in Sacramento, and they did just that. And the 482 MT3s, and then later the MT4s, were all built in their Sacramento shops. And really successful engine for the Southern Pacific. Southern Pacific really loved these locomotives. They used them, you know, in the 1920s all the way up to, and this is, you know, this is really a landmark thing. These were used up until 1957. So these were extremely popular locomotives on the SP. We're going to talk a little bit about these guys here. These MT4s, these are the earlier variants, okay? You'll notice that they have a standard paint scheme, and then they've also got this early green boiler scheme down here. Now, if you remember what Janik said on Friday, that's not paint. That's something to do with the steel process. That was their natural color. Some people call it a Russian green, but it was something that, you know, these were originally went out like this between 1926, 1930s. But by the 1940s, they went with the all black scheme that you see here, which would be 4355. And so we're offering 3 from that era. 4355 is your standard paint scheme. 4350 and 4353 have the earlier green boiler scheme. So if you're doing the 1920s, 1930s, you're going to want that green boiler. If you're doing a little bit later than that, you know, just before World War II, the standard black scheme. And just a beautiful locomotive. Really, this is the beginning of the modern steam locomotives. We're getting away from the little tea kettle type locomotives and into the big, powerful steam locomotives. Now, there's some added features and upgrades on these. One of the biggest things that the developers have done is they have a dual cube speaker. And you know from our diesels, the dual cube speakers work extremely well. Everything's been upgraded to LED lighting. And there's the improved loco to tender connection harness. We've done that for durability. We're starting to do that with all of our steam locomotives because we know what it's like. If you're going to a show or you're going to the club layout, you're taking this thing out of the box, you're putting it on the rails, you're plugging it in, you're unplugging it. We've tried to make that more robust so you don't have any electrical issues. They've also improved the electrical pickup wipers, and they've improved the traction tire to rail contact area. So there's been some redesign in the driver wheels themselves. Now later on, now we're talking 1940s into the 50s. These went through a little bit of a change. What's really cool about these is these have the skyline casing. Now the Skyline casing did a couple of different things. It gave it a streamlined look, which was very important for passenger, but it also helped divert that smoke from the smokestacks. So it had a couple of different uses to it. But the biggest thing was we're kind of going into the era of Art Deco. We're going into the era of streamlining, and this is one of those things where this was applied. And something else that Southern Pacific did is they added those really cool daylight colors to the tenders and just a little portion of the cab. So these are perfect for, 1939 is when they started adding these Skyline casings and going upward. And like I said, these guys would operate until 57 on the Southern Pacific, which is amazing. Think about it for a second. 1957, we were in the jet age. We had jet bombers, jet fighters, automatic transmissions in cars, and these brutes were still roaming the rails and doing an extremely good job. And really, the only thing that really killed the steam locomotive was the maintenance. Now, they were a maintenance nightmare in some cases. They were very costly to maintain. And so the diesels by the 1950s had kind of slowly taken over. And while the diesels didn't have the horsepower or the pulling power of a steam locomotive, they were a little bit easier to maintain. So if you're a steam guy and you're an SP guy, you're going to be happy with these. I mean, these are another great offering, and we've updated them. Like I said, we've updated them so that they operate a little bit better on your layout, your modules, or your club layout. So last but not least, I want to talk about the 50-foot Seico boxcars. I always say Seico. I know Janik was asking you guys, and I think it sometimes just depends on what part of the country you're from. We always said Seico, kind of like the watch, or you could say Seico. But these are the 50-foot boxcars. And if you have a layout or a club layout and you need some industry switched, what better type of freight car to have but these 50-foot Seico boxcars. Now these are Genesis. The beautiful thing about Genesis is the amount of detail that we put in these. Now we're doing these in the primed and grime. We've got some Canadian Pacific versions. We've got the Hutchison Northern. We're also doing those in the prime for grime. And I'm going to zoom in on these just so you guys can see them. Let's go ahead and zoom in. We'll start looking at these Virginia Central and Atlantic and Western. And we're offering them in 3 different road numbers. Now the Virginia Central, you're looking at 1970s. John mentioned on Friday, these were part of the per diem. Now, the per diem era was really cool in the United States because you had all of these boxcars going to all kinds of different companies, big companies, small companies, and really cool paint schemes. And this was kind of the last big push for boxcars was the 1970s. After this, they slowly diminished in use. But if you're modeling the 70s into the 90s, you're going to want to pick up some of these. Here's the Virginia Central, like I said, 1970s era. Now the Atlantic and Western, their previous owner was Hutchison Northern. And for the prime for grime version, this is 1990s, okay? We've patched that all out and shown the new owners. And what's really cool, this is 1990s, but originally Hutchison Northern, check it out. You can see vestiges of the 1970s and 80s here. Right here, right here. And it's the 1990s, and they just basically put the new reporting marks on. They changed some data there. And, these old vestiges of the past remained in some cases, and that's true. I mean, that's what they're doing. Over here, I had nothing to do with this, but Boston and Maine, of course. Boston and Maine, These were some of the last Boston and Maine boxcars that the company would order because after 1983, they fell under the Guilford flag. They had a pretty good sizable amount of these. And here again, we're looking at 1970s, offering that in 3 different road numbers as well. Ashley Drew and Northern for you guys out there on the West Coast. Certainly a popular railroad. Once again, this is a 1990s car, but it's got the vestiges of the past. And then last but not least, we have the Canadian Pacific. These are actually lasted until 2006 plus. So if you're doing modern stuff, if you have a small switching layout and you want to model the here and now, these are perfectly fine. You're going to still see these. In fact, I see cars like this on our Canadian National line, former IC, not too far from me. I see these occasionally on the main line. Once again, 3 different road numbers. And then last but not least, we have the Norfolk and Western 1970s era. The big stylized NW. And, just perfect for 1970s era. So, I mean, basically what you've got is you got 1970s cars that you can operate all the way into the 80s. Maybe you run Guilford or Pan Am. You can still run these. They'd be faded out as pretty bad, these Boston and Maine cars. They'd be faded out extremely bad, really. But you can operate those into the 80s. And then you've got your 90s. And we've got all the way to 2006, maybe even further. So a couple of things about the Genesis Seico boxcars. The things that people love about these is these are our most detailed freight cars. You're going to have the separately applied grab irons, the end ladders, brake wheel, photo etch crossover platform, 33-inch machine metal wheels, body-mounted McHenry couplers, and of course they're all going to be highly detailed injection molded bodies. They're going to be our most detailed box cars you can get. Genesis is our top of the line. So again, if you've got a nice switching layout, doesn't matter how big it is, and you want to model anything from the 1970s to modern day, you most certainly can with these. So definitely check these out. Now remember, we've got a little bit longer for July. It's the very end of July. You've got to order these. But these Genesis box cars, they always go quick. I always say it every time, go ahead and pre-order them with your dealer now because you don't want to be missing out. So a little bit longer program this time because we had 3 different models, but I wanted to show you all the Genesis stuff that we were working on. And again, the Surfliner cars, we're really excited about those. So we wanted to show you a little bit behind the scenes on how that is, and guarantee you that the developers will be back occasionally to show us what they're doing and neat updates and things of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the rail cam, and it was busy earlier. We'll take a few questions before we cut out for the afternoon. And today we're going to Ashland, Virginia. I don't think we've actually been there very often. Let that screen get bigger and let's see what kind of questions you guys have. I mean, how many of you guys are excited about the Surfliners? I know I am, and it's not my era, it's not my region, but I'm still probably going to get some of those because they're just so cool. And who knows? Maybe I'll get to see some in person in the not too distant future. Well, the MT4s that we just talked about, Jeff, those you have until the end of July, July 30th. It's a Friday to pre-order those with your dealer. And we showed you the different versions there. If you want to look them up later, go to athearn.com, go to new products and announcements, and look up the MT4s. You have until the end of July to pre-order those with your favorite dealer. And tentatively, they will be here next July. So you've got just about a year. So that gives you enough time to save up money for all of them that we've released. You can do all 6 of them. Let's see. Yeah, I know you guys are, and that's why we're so happy to finally introduce them. I mean, it was so hard to keep our mouths shut, but we wanted to make the timing just right. Terry says, why weren't the new Frisco cabooses released in Genesis? Well, as I was saying earlier, as you know, Terry, you already know this, the Genesis line is our top of the line. It's going to be the top of the line cars. And with everything that the developers are working on, that was just not on the drawing board at this point. We did offer them in the Roundhouse last month just to get the Frisco guys some cabooses. It's been a while since we've offered some Frisco stuff. Now, that doesn't mean in the future we won't. Our Genesis cabooses have been extremely popular, and that it's quite possible that in the not too distant future we might be doing those in the Genesis line. Nick, I'm going to grab you here. He says, Nick says, on Friday, John mentioned that the Viewliners are almost as requested as the Surfliner cars, and Athearn already has an extensive file on them. Tell us more. Give us hope, Jim, that we can finally model modern Amtrak and HO. Well, you know, John is pretty good about kind of giving you guys a sneak peek. And I would say if we have that much knowledge on those cars, I believe it. Both Janik and John have been working on these for quite a while. In fact, Janik's been working on them before John even came to work for us. So don't give up hope. Modern Amtrak guys, I would keep tabs on our social media and our Train Tuesdays, because I think you're going to be happy. Let's see. I got time for maybe 2 more questions, and then we're going to go ahead and pull the pin on this episode. Unfortunately, Ashland does not have any trains. It was funny, when I found this earlier, there was a train going through with a DPU, and I was thinking, hey, this is a great place to stop. Jonathan, that's a good question. I'm going to put this up here. You've got a question on the product suggested email. What's the limit of sending pictures to email? Where to have lots of pictures for the Essex Terminal Railway 4-engine roster? So Jonathan, one of the best things to do is to first submit that email, because yeah, you've got a good point. I mean, some of those pictures, you know, at 300 DPI, they're going to use up a lot of bandwidth. And so what I would suggest is maybe having a few pictures, maybe the best pictures that you have, a slightly smaller format, sent to the product suggestion, and have your email in the body of the email itself. Because again, our developers do read those emails. They don't always respond, but they do read those. And if it gets to a point where we're looking for new projects and you've got that, we've got a contact, we might reach out to you. And, you know, that's something that at that point we can talk to you directly, and you can send those big files. Yeah, Kevin, we've changed our format a little bit. We're going to do about a 30-minute program. That way you guys can get back to modeling. Surely you've got some work to do on your layouts. All right, I got time for one more question. You guys are asking a lot of good questions, and I'm going to take one more, and it's kind of like trying to pick the best apple from the tree. There's a lot of good questions here. Let me see what I've got. Wow. And Kevin, I see your requests there. They're coming. They're coming. I thought a steam locomotive. Let's go with Wolfgang. Since Athearn made the GP40-2, is there a chance for the New Jersey Transit GP40 PH-2 and the GP40 PH-2B? Wow. Well, you know, that's kind of a specialized release. I'm not going to say it's impossible. And you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say go to our product suggestion email and pop that in there. Nothing's impossible. Having spent some time in New Jersey and seeing those, I wouldn't mind seeing those into a Genesis or maybe even a ready to roll. So let me know. Let us know by the product suggestion email, and we'll consider that. All right. Well, unfortunately, I didn't have any trains for you today, but we had some great news on the Surfliner. Got to show you some cool pictures that Janik took and some of the development background stuff. We talked about the MT4s, and we talked about the 50-foot Seico boxcars. So great a bunch of stuff. Again, you can always go to athearn.com, see all the details on our website. And be sure to check out athearn.com very often. We're updating things a little bit more consistently now, so you can keep track on your locomotives that you already pre-ordered to let you know when they're going to be at your dealer. Or if you missed out, you might be able to catch one either on our website or catch one through one of your local vendors or favorite online retailers. But for now, I want to thank everybody for coming on board and spending time with me this afternoon. I want everybody out there to be happy, be healthy, do some good modeling, and above all else, high greens, everybody. Have a great day.